Hello, in this video we will learn about using trend lines and reference lines. So let's get started. I'm going to open a new Tableau workbook and connect with the sample Superstore data. You all are familiar with most of these fields here. So let's go ahead and start working on it. I'm going to create a chart or a scatter chart with discount and profit. So I want to say if there is a relationship between these two variables, discount and profit. So let's go ahead, put discount in my rows and profit in my columns. So you just see there is one dot plotted. The reason being that Tableau by default has aggregated these two values as sum of profit and sum of discount. But we won't like that. So to take the aggregation out, we can go to the Analysis tab, and you see that aggregate measures has been checked right now. So let's go ahead and uncheck that. As soon as you uncheck it, you will see that individual values are now plotted. So you can see discount and profit. Now here's a chart which says the X variable or the independent variable is profit and the dependent variable is discount. But in real life, we want it the opposite. So we want to see the impact of discount on profit. So we need to switch those two variables. Here we have swap rows and columns. If you click that, then rows and columns will be swapped. So let's go ahead and do that. Now it makes more sense what happens to the value of profit as discount increases. If you notice that the value of discount is between 0 all the way to 0.8 or 0.9, it means up to 80-90% discount. So now let's see, based on what you see so far, what would you be able to say? Is there a relationship? What does the relationship look like? It's hard to tell. So let's go ahead and do some analysis here. To find out, you can go to the Analytics tab. What we are going to do is work with a trend line. So if you see there is a trend line, that will tell you if there is a relationship between two variables. So we are dealing essentially with two quantitative variables, profit and discount, and we want to determine if there is a relationship between these two. The easiest way to do that would be in the Analytics tab, we have trend line. Let's drag the trend line. And as you see, more options appear for you, whether you are looking for a linear relationship, log relationship, exponential, polynomial, or power. What kind of trend line do you want? So let's go ahead and do a linear relationship. And once you have your relationship, you will see that a regression equation comes out saying profit equals minus 249.051 times discount plus some value. What you should note here is the R squared value. So R squared is 0.048. What that tells me that 4.8, about 5% of the variance in profit can be explained by discount. So there is a relationship between these two, not very strong, but at least we can expect that 5% of the variation in profit is due to the discount. Another interesting thing that you need to note here is the p-value. So what is a p-value? P-value indicates the significance of the relationship. So is this relationship strong or not? If the p-value is less than 0.05 or 0.05, you will say it's a significant relationship. In this case, it says p-value is less than 0.0001, which is much less than 0.05. So you can say that yes, this is a significant relationship. So we get to see that the relationship is strong. Now let's go ahead and do some formatting here. So if you don't want, like we learned in this chapter 5 and chapter 7, that you don't want your non-data ink to be too prominent. So if you want the lines, the grid lines, etc. to be hidden, you should go ahead and do like a none. So no grid lines. And then for zero line, if it is important for you to show where the 0 point is, you can let the be. The trend line, maybe you want to go ahead and make it a little bit lighter so it's there but not as prominent, and also increase its thickness. If you want, you could do a dashed line, whatever suits you. So let's do that. And then I'm trying to move any other line. So you see that there is a line here, which is your trend line. And you can see your p-values. So let's go ahead, rename this as trend. So let's go ahead, rename this as trend line example. This also helps us see that as discount increases, the profit keeps on decreasing. So in the other sheet where I duplicated this sheet, see, if you have not done that, go ahead and duplicate the previous sheet. This second one, I'm going to remove the trend line. And how do we do that? You can just select the trend line and say remove. So now you don't have any trend line. If we wanted to add another trend line, what I would do is close this format, go back to the analytics tab, and then you can look at trend line, but this time do a different kind of trend line. See if there is let's say, for example, if there is a logarithmic relationship. So you will see that a log trend line has been superimposed, and you can say if you thought that there was a log relationship, it will show you what's the r-square value, what's the p-value. Looks like the r-square value has increased. So maybe this is a better relationship explaining the two variables. So let's rename this as log trend line. So trend line help you examine the relationship that or patterns in the charts. The next thing we want to go ahead and do is a reference line. Let's open a new worksheet. In this case, I'm going to analyze different product subcategories, expand the product, get the subcategories, and I want to see what's the average discount for each of the subcategories. So let me find discount again. And my theory is which are the products usually which get discounted more. So we do have a chart now, and I have a sum of discount. For better comparison, what would work is if we, instead of a sum of discount, if we did average discount, then we would be comparing apples to apples. So let's go ahead, change the measure to average discount. So now I can see what's the average discount on accessories, what's the average discount on appliances, like that. You can also sort this data so it looks better. To sorting, if you just want to sort by one of the fields here, so you see right up here you have sort increasing or sort decreasing or ascending and descending. So let's go ahead, sort by ascending or increasing order. You will see the categories or subcategories which have the lower discount are on top, which have the higher discount are at the bottom. And we are dealing with average discount. Now, so far so good. This is a chart, we just created it. Now, if I want to compare this to a benchmark, and if I want to say that, oh, how many of these are actually, let's say, above the average of total discount or below the average discount for across all the categories or subcategories. In that case, I need something called as reference line. So let's go to the analytics tab again. I can add a reference line. So basically you do have a reference line and a reference band which works in a similar fashion, except line denotes one point and band denotes a range. So let's do a reference line on this data. What I can do is go ahead, drag a reference line. It gives me three options. To do it on the entire table, it means every one of them. One pane if you have If you have multiple panes, then you can use this one, or the average of a cell. In our case, let's start with the tables. So if I do that, it gives me more options to select. So the entire data that we have displayed will have one reference line. Let's customize this. It says the line is on entire table. What do this line represent? So I want this line to represent value, and the value should be average of discount. It means all of the discounts clubbed together across all these subcategories, one value. Okay, then it should be average. The label right now just shows the computation. It means what is it that I'm calculating. If I would do total, it will show total, like that. So let's go back to average. Instead of label it as computation, it might make more sense for us to have this label show a value saying what is this line, what value is this line representing. And as soon as I change this to value, you will say that it is showing the value 0.1502. And you just let your tooltip to be automatic unless you want to customize it a certain way. So you can leave it to automatic. What that means is your tooltip will automatically show relevant values whatever is added. Again, if this line you want to make it thinner, you can do so. If you want to make it, dashed, you can do that as well. It's good to have low non-data ink. And then if you wanted any filling above or below, that's up to you. So let's go ahead, hit OK. And you will see there is now a reference line which can serve for comparison purposes here, saying, oh, these are all the values which are below your expected average. These are all the values which are above. So that's one way to do it. I'm going to call this one as table reference line. Then let's duplicate this chart. And then this time again, just like the trend line, if you wanted to remove something, you can go ahead and remove it. However, let me show you if you wanted this line to be something else, how can you change it? You can go to edit, the same options will appear. This time, instead of the average value, I want it a fixed value. So average of discount is a constant. It means I will supply whatever value this is going to show. So I want to fix my value or the constant value to 10% or 0.10, showing that now the line will be at 10% and it can give me an idea of which one of the values are above 10%, which one are below 10%. So let's go ahead and see. So I can also, instead of a computation, supply a value. Let's rename this to fixed reference line or constant reference line. Okay. We'll do one more example with a reference line that works at the level of pane. So start a new field. In this new file or new tab, I'm going to take category as well as product subcategory, and I'm going to stick again with the discount because you know how to work with this. Let's do average discount, so we are comparing apples to apples, and let's rename this as pane reference line. Okay. Now, so you have product categories as well as subcategories. So you can see that just by using category and subcategory, what you have essentially created is a pane which is for furniture, another pane is just for office supplies, another pane is just for technology. So you can see one pane second pane, third pane. Let's go ahead, sort this data in ascending order, and you will see they are not sorted across all the data, they are sorted pane by pane. Now, if I want to do the same thing for analytics, going to the analytics tab, taking my reference line, and I want to bring it instead of a table, I want this reference line to be at the pane level. So let's do that. And then again, it's going to ask me, how do you want this line to be? I'm going to calculate. It is an average discount, calculated at average. My label, I want again this to be a value. And let's make this line a little bit thinner and maybe dashed. Okay. And then you will see for each one of the panes, instead of getting one line, we got three different lines. So we have the first one for first pane, that is furniture, at an average is like 19% discount. Office supplies, the average discount is 11.29%, means like 12%. For technology, the average discount is like 17%. So that gives you a more granular view of what's going on. If you want to combine multiple lines, I can still add the previous line, like so this one shows me, and I'm going to edit this to show the value, and let's do a different color on this line just so you can see. Okay, so that's the table reference line, and these dashed ones are the reference line at the level of pane. So you can see the average across all the categories is 15%. There is a category which has lesser discount, like 11.9%, and then there are two other subcategories which have more discount. So we can do that too.